Welcome to the National Women's Fitness Academy podcast. We're here to talk about women's health, female hormones, body image, and all things health and fitness.
Hello girls, welcome back. I hope you're all having a wonderful day wherever you are in this beautiful planet, world, universe, wherever you are. Welcome back to another episode of the Women's Fitness Academy's podcast. I'm your host, Siggy, one of the WFA's educators and a women's online coach. Today, I have got the beautiful Faye with me. Faye is actually from WA, and I'm so envious of Faye because, as we know, WA has the most beautiful beaches. And over in Melbourne, I live by the bay. I call it the beach, but it's nothing like WA beach water. It is phenomenal there. Anyway, before I continue blabbering about the oceans, Faye and I are going to be chatting all about women's menstrual cycle today. We're also going to be talking about her transition from strength into body composition goals and what that looks like for her right now. And then any general chit chat that will come up, and I'm sure you girls are going to enjoy it. So Faye, thanks for joining me, girl.
Thank you for having me. Thank you. I'm excited.
Super excited. So
I've lived in Melbourne before, so I know what the beaches are like over there, and we do have it pretty good here in WA. So
you have it spectacular over there. Love it. Cool, babe. For our listeners who don't know who you are, could you please, let them know what you're currently doing, how you got into fitness?
Yeah, cool. So I guess I've really transitioned into health as far as women's health goes in the last 2 years. I've really thrown myself more into the health side of health and fitness, I guess. I feel like health has been neglected in the health and fitness realm, and especially for women. So I've really thrown myself into that, and fitness will always be a part of my health and fitness with my clients, but I think it's a very small part of the puzzle. And yeah, I'm a gym owner, I'm a mother, I'm an educator, so I work for AWPT as well, and I deliver their menstrual cycle course for coaches, and also have my own platform called Cycle Sisters, which is a educational platform for women just to get educated on the menstrual cycle, but also just women's health in general. So that's a little bit about me.
I love it. You're a multitasker, that's for sure.
Yes, I've definitely got my hands in different pieces of the pie. So yeah.
I love that. And you know what? I think that's the best part of doing a few things here and there. Just keeps things exciting.
Yeah, it does. Yeah. I do own the gym with my partner. So I must admit, I've pulled away from gym and in-person coaching to focus more on that, health with females. And I do specialize in menstrual cycle dysfunction. So a lot of that is online now. So yeah.
Awesome. That's so cool. What does the online status look for you right now by helping women with, menstrual issues?
Yeah, so I have a few different options. When women come to me, they can either go through my Reclaim Your Cycle membership portal, which is very, very low cost. It's like $39.95 a month, and it's basically just a portal where you can kind of be your own investigator as far as your health goes, and it's just giving you the tools. And I wanted to reach more women. I didn't want it to be overly expensive. And then I have my one-on-one coaching. So I work with lots of different women who have, anywhere from PCOS, endometriosis, subfertility, so women who are going through fertility issues, and women that are just experiencing shitty PMS symptoms, which I think has been normalized so much. But yeah, once you understand what your body is going through, it's actually really easy to reverse some of these symptoms that women experience. And it's just our body telling us that something's a little bit out of whack. So
yes, let's talk about that, because you literally just brought up a really good point that people are normalizing PMS, and that's something that we shouldn't be normalizing.
Yeah. I think it's been normalized from when my mom was a teen. It's just like a part of being a woman, you're going to get this thing that happens to you once a month, and it's going to cause pain, and it's going to cause discomfort, and you just got to put up with it. And I was quite lucky, I think, as far as my own menstrual cycle. I didn't really get much pain. I had a pretty good menstrual cycle, but I saw my sister go through a lot of pain and a lot of issues with her menstrual cycle. But like every other woman, I went on the pill for contraception. And what I did experience was severe issues from the pill. So PMS, it's a blanket term for symptoms, and they can range from, acne to debilitating pain, headaches, when really, like, most women should be just experiencing, a slight bit of cramping before they bleed, a little bit of water retention, that kind of stuff. So yeah, I think women, some women are out for a week prior to their period, and that's not normal. We need to be investigating that a little bit more and to why that is happening.
Why do you think it has been normalized for us to be okay by having PMS?
Oh, tough question. I think we've relied so heavily on doctors in the past that they're not educated in this field to try and give us alternatives, and they're not educated in nutrition, and they're not educated in supplementation, they're not educated in fitness. So we look up to these people and we go to these people when we need help, yet they don't have the information to give us, and that's not their fault. We can't blame the doctors. But yeah, I think for so long they've just kind of given us the pill because they know that it has potentially fixed some of these issues, and it does fix some of these issues to a certain degree, but it doesn't mean that it's good for us. It's kind of like that blanket band-aid approach.
So true, because it can be so conflicting, because we know, like, doctors, as their job, they're here to medicate us, to give us medications, but as you said, they're not qualified in terms of the nutrition and fitness side of things. And when your average girl just goes, "Hey, I have PMS," they'll be like, "Yep, here you go, have a pill."
Yeah, exactly.
That will solve your problem. And like you said, it's a blanket of symptoms when we have PMS, and you need to find that root cause of why that's happening. It's the same with bloating.
Yeah. that term, like, I've got IBS. It's like, okay, IBS is a blanket term.
Yeah.
What is actually causing this pain and discomfort in the gut? Is it food intolerances? Is it your nervous system? Is it is it more psych, or is it more physical? Like, there's so much that goes on with the gut. And yeah, that's when I'm looking at menstrual cycle dysfunction, I'm always looking at the gut. Kind of goes hand in hand. We can't, like everything in the body, nothing works in isolation. We need to be working everything.
Yeah, and correct me if I'm wrong, I've done a little bit of research myself, but there is a correlation between our vaginal microbiome and the gut microbiome as well.
Yeah. So we have microbiome in our mouth, we have microbiome in our vagina, in our gut, and it can be heavily impacted by either medications, the food that we eat, trauma to that area, the sanitary, sanitary pads, tampons, that kind of stuff. These can all play a role in impacting the microbiome of the vagina. And common issues that arise with, an imbalance in the microbiome, both in the gut and in the vagina, is things like thrush, UTIs, that kind of stuff. So.
Yeah. And again, these are so common for us to experience, but yet again, we don't really find the root cause of it, but we're just getting medicated for it.
Yeah. Put some cream on here and, take these tablets, take these antibiotics, it'll clear up. And I kid you not, like 60% of the females that I work with have experienced thrush and UTIs on a regular basis, and they just think that it's normal.
Yeah, it's crazy, because until, like, someone points it out and be like, "Hey, it's actually a red flag, this isn't normal," then it gets them thinking. And I love that, because then they have this, like, light bulb moment going, "Oh, well, if this is happening and that's happening, it's just like, cool, what else is going on that you can, find the root cause for it?"
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Yeah, I love it. It's so cool to, for us as women, just to have a little bit more understanding of having more awareness around our body, which is a freaking superpower because so often we just neglect what's going on. And again, like I mentioned before, most of us, majority of people will just want to medicate and suppress the symptoms where it's, as you said, it's a band-aid. It's not actually fixing it.
Yeah, and women are cyclical beings in our menstrual cycle, but also in our life as well. We are constantly going through this change, in our menstrual cycle, but also, in our primary reproductive years, then going through perimenopause and then postmenopause. There's so many different things, so many things that are changing in a woman's life through pregnancy as well. And the more we understand this, the more I think we'll be kinder to ourselves.
Yeah.
The more self-compassion we will have. So yeah, it's once women start to understand this, I just see the light bulb kind of turn on and they'll be like, oh, this makes sense. I'm not going mad. I'm not making all this stuff up in my head. So yeah.
Aside from what we've spoken about, what are some other myths that you've come across with the menstrual cycle?
I guess other than like the pain is that is normal. I think myths are things like, I don't know about you, CU, but I was always under the impression that I could fall pregnant 365 days of the year. And knowing that now I just have this fertile window that is
fertile window.
very fertile window. And I mean, God, if I knew that when I was younger, it would have been a game changer. So there's that. Another one is that it isn't it shouldn't be something that is an inconvenience. It should be something that is, I may just love this way too much, but I find a bleed and I find ovulating very, very empowering. I find it fascinating. I just think if we just change our perception of what our menstrual cycle is and what it's actually doing, it can really empower the woman. So instead of thinking that it is an inconvenience, kind of just switching our outlook on it, I guess. And I think that happens with education. It's like once we know what our bodies are capable of and what they do on a daily basis for us, is pretty freaking amazing.
It's so refreshing for you to point that out because for so many years when I was younger, I actually couldn't stand getting my period. I thought it was just another thing that I just had to deal with. But again, that was just like the victim mindset, but back then, like, oh my God, everything's an issue. And I used to skip my period so many freaking times when I was on the pill. I think there was like, I kid you not, I reckon there was a stage of like 5 months and I didn't even get it. But as we know, you don't actually bleed on when you're on the pill. Like it's not a proper bleed. It's just a breakthrough bleed. So, but yeah, it's really refreshing for me to hear another woman being empowered about us having bleeds because that this is our bodies. Like we need to accept it. We need to work with it instead of working against it.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. And when, understanding your hormones and what they're doing for us, it's just, it's not about purely reproducing. It's about so much more. So whether you are a female that doesn't want kids, I think it's still relevant that we understand, what our body is going through.
Yeah.
I'm still trying to figure out how to reach the younger generation because I do believe it's still very much, it's a hindrance to their lifestyle. And I get it. I understand it. And a part of me is like, maybe they just have to go through this and, figure it out. That's part of life. But it's a hard one. I think we need to reach the parents and hopefully the parents can educate their daughters. And I know that's a big part of some of the women that are in the Reclaim Your Cycle. They've got kids and they've got, young teens and they've been able to pass that information on to them. So
I think that's a beautiful thing. And as we're with crossing generations, like when I was younger, I didn't get taught any of this stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Even at high school or uni, like none of it. I had no understanding of it. So now that you're able to teach other, young mums to teach their girls over time, it's just the information is just going to get better and better.
Yeah, totally.
And women are going to have more of empowerment by understanding their bodies instead of, feeling defeated because they're bleeding every month.
Yeah. And this comes back to the power of social media as well. Like there's so many amazing women talking about these topics. And like that's the beauty of it. Like more people can access this information. There are a lot of amazing people on social media talking about, the menstrual cycle, even peri and post-menopause as well. Which is another cycle of a woman's life that is really quite difficult. So yeah, I'm glad it's being spoken about a lot more.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's always room for improvement as well.
Always room for improvement. I love that. For some reason, I had in my mind, I know it had nothing to do. Well, it kind of does have to do it with a cycle, but that myth, it literally just came to my mind. When we have to just completely stop everything that we're doing, like in terms of exercise, or avoid exercise when we have a period.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's a lot of people giving out do's and don'ts as far as the menstrual cycle goes. And I'm big on giving women the information for them to kind of self-assess them, their menstrual cycle. Everyone experiences a menstrual cycle. Now, if you are in debilitating pain and you are experiencing heavy bleeding, you may find exercise hard around your bleed, or you may find that it relieves some of the pain. And there's studies to back that up, that movement can relieve some of the pain as well.
Yeah.
It comes down to the individual. Each woman experiences their menstrual cycle differently. And it's about kind of being aware. It always comes back to being aware, that self-awareness, and how you feel in your cycle. And that's why I get women to kind of track their own cycle, track their energy, track their emotions, understand what's going on, and then you make the call on whether you train or not. Or, look at the other factors that can impact training, and that's, sleep, nutrition, which our menstrual cycle can impact sleep and nutrition. So is looking at all those other factors, and then you making a call whether or not training is right for you on that particular day. I see a lot of people saying, like, do this at this part of your cycle and do this. And it really does come down to the individual. Like for me personally, I feel freaking strong as soon as I start bleeding. It's those kind of like 5 days, 3 days prior that I feel a little bit like mush. But once my bleed comes, I feel strong. I feel like I can get back into the gym. I feel great. Whereas I have clients who feel like absolute mush on their bleed and they need to take it a little bit slower. So yeah, it does.
It's that whole like monkey see, monkey do, everyone's going to have an opinion. And, like you and myself, like we'll give out coaching advice to clients. But again, it's up to the individual, like having the power and understanding when it's going to be best for them to, train or rest or exercise, whatever it is. As you said, just following more of that biofeedback, which is so important because, again, not long ago, well, maybe I reckon like 5-10 years ago, this type of biofeedback wasn't around.
Yeah.
We didn't have the information that we have right now to be able to navigate, am I feeling because of this, or am I just being a little bitch? Like,
It's so true. And it's something that I say to my clients as well, is like, we've got this idea that our luteal phase is like the hardest part of our cycle as well, when really it can be a really beautiful part of our cycle, because I feel like there's a lot of kind of lessons in that luteal phase, because the inner critic can come out harder. It can, you can start picking holes on yourself due to the way you're not only your brain changes in that part of, the impact that progesterone and estrogen has on the brain, but also the way your body changes as well. And so this inner critic can come out, and there's lessons if we listen to that inner critic. And yeah, I think there's, I'm going a little bit off topic. I lost where I was going there, but basically yeah, that part of your cycle can be a really beautiful part of your cycle. It doesn't need to be hard. I think what happens when people find this part of their cycle hard is that they either don't have any boundaries in place, because they're saying yes to all of the things, so they feel like they're running into burnout. They're not nourishing themselves, whether it's like taking their foot off the gas a little bit, putting the brake on and just slowing down, and just really turn inwards a little bit more rather than being so outwards, because the luteal phase is a very feminine part of our cycle and it's a very inward part of our cycle, whereas the follicular phase is more giving, more masculine. So
yeah, so cool. I love that. It's so true though, because again, this goes back to us talking about how we used to despise having a bleed because it was such an inconvenience. But again, it takes us back to the luteal phase by going, yes, your hormones are going to change. There's going to be some variance there, but like go with it. Don't fight it. Changes are going to be happening, but as we know as women, change is not only happening on a monthly basis; they're happening on a daily basis.
Yeah, definitely.
And it's something for us to embrace and be like, wow, like I'm unique. Like this is the beauty about me being a woman. So yeah, I think it's really empowering for all our listeners to have a better understanding about the menstrual cycle. While we go off topic, I really want to know what's happening with your own journey right now, because I mentioned at the start that you've been solely focused on strength training for quite a while, and you still are with currently what you're doing, but goals have kind of changed.
Yeah, they have. I've competed in powerlifting for a couple of years and I absolutely love powerlifting. Like, it was a game changer for me as far as confidence in my own body felt, and I loved it. But I'm planning to compete in bodybuilding next year. So I've really sat on this for a while because I had to make sure that I was doing it for the right reasons. And I'm someone to very much think things through. So I feel like I'm at a good place as far as my own health goes, my body goes. I have, the tools behind me as far as like making sure my health comes first, and that's all. And look, I'm not going to lie, we all know that competing is not healthy, but it's what can I do to mitigate some of those things that are going to go by the wayside, I guess, as far as like making sure that I'm getting regular blood work done, making sure that I am supplementing when, calories get low and stuff like that. And I guess this is something that I've always wanted to do, but I've wanted to make sure that it's the right time. But I also want to do it because I want to learn as well. I have a lot of clients who have been ruined by competing. And I think this is a good learning curve for me as well. So, there's a few different reasons why I'm doing it. And it was the same reason why I did powerlifting. I wanted to learn how to get strong. I learned so much through my coach who coached me at that time, and I still look up to him as a mentor as well. And now I have another coach for my new goals. Shout out to Ali Round. I'm going to be learning from her, but also I fully trust her with my health as well as going through that competing process.
It's going to be exciting.
Yeah, I'm excited. I am excited.
When are you? Do you have a set date already?
I'll probably compete next year. So March. Yeah, give myself a good year to kind of just build and start posing, I guess.
Yes. Yeah.
Like, it's all new to me. So it's really out of my comfort zone, but I'm excited. I am excited.
The posing is fun. I remember when I did it, I think it was something that I was really uncomfortable with because there's certain positions that you need to move your body in terms of, what you're going to present yourself as. It's challenging, especially with really high heels.
It is. But funny enough, like I do actually love it. I was like, it's like you step into, well, for me, it's like I step into another person. I kind of put this like hat on, and it's like yeah, it's this like performance Faye that I've never seen before, and I'm like, wow, that's that's interesting to watch. So
You can combine the dancing that you're doing right now for the posing.
Yeah, exactly. The dancing's going to help me actually hopefully loosen up a little bit, because I am a bit like a plank of wood from lifting so much. But
yeah. Well, you're used to just doing like, steady movements, where now you kind of like need to go more with the flow of the body.
Yeah, it's going to
I
be.
love it. How long have you been dancing for?
So I danced when I was younger, up until the age of I think it was about 11. And then I've just started dancing. It's going to be 8 weeks now, and I'm looking at even taking up another class. And I'm actually looking at stepping on stage for dancing as well. I'm doing like a little bit of an amateur like dance routine, so that's going to be interesting. But I love dance. It feels so good. Part of like one of my goals this year was to play and have more fun. And dancing just brings out, like, the first session, the feeling of joy and happiness was just intense.
Yeah.
And I loved it. So I'm hooked. I love it.
Yeah, I love dancing. It's one thing that everyone literally needs to do. Even if you don't do classes, just like dance in the kitchen, just move. It's so good.
Yeah, it definitely, it was like very much that like inner little girl that just, I just had so much fun. I have so much fun when I do it. So, and you just literally don't think about anything else but the dancing. So, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. You're like in your own like little world.
Yeah.
I love it. What other things are you doing this year to, do more fun and play?
The beach,
Yeah.
like making sure that I get down to the beach and carrying that on into the winter as well. I think it's very easy to do in summer.
So easy.
And my partner loves, like, he's a Kiwi, and so he just loves the cold weather. And he's always been someone that goes for, like dips even in winter. So I'm going to make him hold me accountable as well. And then getting away more. So we just bought a camper trailer and just having more, quick trips here and there where we just get off the grid and just, have that downtime just as a family, but also just my partner and I as well. I think that's super important to me, because I am someone that can get caught up in the work and the hustling and the learning. I'm like a serial learner, so it's not good. It's got its downfalls, but it's also got it's got a good side of it. But I do need to make sure that I just make time for play, and downtime. So that's
so important, especially as coaches and women. I find that as women we tend to take on so much, whether it's education, work, like play, socializing, like we're always doing something. But I really like the fact that you mentioned that you just want to do more fun stuff, but also getting off the grid, so you're not constantly learning, but you're actually decompressing as well, which is so important.
Yeah. And even after, like, I've got a few courses going on at the moment, like I've been someone that's always done courses, and I'm all for continued education, but I do feel like I need a freaking long deload from learning, because I think there's this real pressure on people, and I say this as like an educator, but there is a real pressure on coaches to continuously upgrade their knowledge. When what I'm seeing with coaches is that they'll do a course but they don't implement it.
Yeah.
And they're not, they're just jumping from education platform to education platform, and they're not actually applying anything to their coaching. And I think that's super important. So I after my courses that I'm currently doing at the moment, I will be taking some time off from learning. I don't know how long that's going to go for, but
you have to integrate it.
Yeah.
You literally have to. And I'm so glad you brought that up, because last year I completed the psychology of eating, and that was a whole year course. Like, that's a lot of work to do throughout a whole year. And so far, it's so funny that you mentioned that, because so far this year, I haven't taken upon any courses yet. Like, I have a list of what I'm wanting to do next, but then you see other coaches and they're learning and taking courses, and you're like, oh my God, I have so much like FOMO. I was just like, I want to do this stuff, but I know that I have, like the course I did last year, I'm still integrating through that. I'm still, revising what I did and learning again and executing it to myself, educating my clients. So yeah, it's a really big thing that people are constantly learning, but are you actually putting into practice?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, I think it's so important to do that. And like you said, like there's just this pressure, and we do get FOMO as coaches as well. Like there are so many amazing courses out there.
Yeah.
But yeah, if you're not applying it, you're literally throwing your money down the drain. And yeah.
And that's a waste. That's a complete waste.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. And your clients are missing out as well. So yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So true. What are some tips you can give our newbies of, coaches coming into the industry regarding education?
I would say be open-minded. I think, and I've fallen into this trap as finding an educator gospel by what they're saying as being gospel. And that's the only way to do something. And so I think this comes with age as well, and I am getting a little bit older. But finding your own method and not being so tunnel vision with the way that you approach your clients, and look at your client for who they are. And they're not going to fit a mold. And I know we talk about this a lot, but like when you get educated, they're literally tools that you put in your toolbox. And there are so many different tools that you can use for different clients. So there's not one tool to do one job. And I think, yeah, you just got to be open-minded and not take anything gospel from any other educators as well, and use our intuition a little bit more. And I think women especially, we have that innate intuition, and we should definitely use it a lot more as far as coaching goes. So
listen to that gut, girls. Listen to the gut.
Yeah.
Seriously, it never lies. And you know what? The more often that you avoid it, more bad things will happen.
Yeah, it's so true.
It is, seriously, like every time I didn't follow my gut and then it like bites me back in the bum, I'll be like, yep, that is why.
Yeah. Every time I look back when I've made a shitty decision and I'm like, I had that feeling in my gut.
Yeah.
I should have rolled with it.
Yeah. So funny. It doesn't just come across like in coaching, but like in life as well, men, partners, exercise, like even at the gym. Great example. You think you're going to push it really hard, but in your, intuition, you're like, oh, maybe I should just pull back a little bit. You push, you hurt yourself, and you're like, why didn't I listen to myself?
Why didn't I listen? Exactly.
Yeah, I love that. That's so cool. Thank you so much for joining me, Faye. Today's conversation has been so freaking good, and I know our listeners are going to be taking a lot from what we've spoken about. I know you briefly explained what you do at the start, but like, how can our listeners and followers reach you? How can they work with you?
Yeah, so I have 2 accounts. I guess my Cycle Sisters, so at Cycle Sisters on Instagram. It's all very educational. I try to keep it majority educational. And all of my offerings are on the link in my bio under Cycle Sisters. And then Faye Sheridan at Faye Sheridan _ on Instagram. It's my coaching account, but it's also my personal account. It's a bit of mixture of everything. So but you can contact me on there, and that's pretty much it.
Yay, love that. Awesome, girls. Well, if you enjoyed today's podcast, please make sure that you share it, recommend it, give us a review. We would much appreciate all of your feedback, and screenshot today's episode and tag us at the Women's Fitness Academy, tag myself, tag Faye. And then until next time, follow that intuition. And, when you hear someone else's approach about education or anything, like Faye said, take it with a grain of salt and think over it. Don't jump straight into it.
Thank you so much for having me.